please. Let's go ahead and close the door. Yeah, I told them to make sure they're careful about that. Miss Deb, will you lead us in the invocation and pledge, please?
Dear Lord, I come to you with praise and glory in your name, just thanking you so much for everything you do for us, Lord. Thank you for the beautiful weather you give us. Please watch over our first responders as they go from their day-to-day business and protect them. Watch over our council and our mayor as they make decisions for the city, Lord. And watch over Shepherdsville and protect it from all the hate that's coming into this world. We just love you and praise you. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Miss Deb. All right. Time we're starting is 6:02. Miss Brenda, you call.
Mike?
Yes, present.
Faith?
Here.
Bonnie?
Here.
Brad?
Here.
Rob?
Here.
Jennifer?
Here.
All right, thank you. I need approval for the minutes from March 10th meeting.
Motion?
Motion by Rob,
Second.
second by Miss Jennifer. Miss Brenda?
Bonnie?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Faith?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
And Rob?
Yes.
All right, well, thank you all. I don't want to jinx us. If you've looked at our agenda, it's kind of like, we'd like to make sure, but we have so we got a couple different things we're going to be doing. We have no old business, new business, but I want to start with a proclamation. This Saturday, we're going to have it's a Vietnam's Veterans Day, but in Shepherdsville, we're actually going to have a Vietnam Veterans Parade. First time ever. So we have a proclamation that we're going to actually read at the Saturday event. But we want to read it today as this is our first proclamation of the year, National Vietnam War Veterans Day. Whereas approximately 125,000 Kentuckians bravely served in the military during the Vietnam War, tragically more than 1,000 of these soldiers made the ultimate sacrifice, and many others were wounded in action, with hundreds still listed as missing in action, MIA. And whereas out of the 246 service members who were awarded the Medal of Honor, the nation's highest military award, 3 were Kentuckians who selflessly gave their lives to save others. And whereas the Vietnam War was a deeply divisive issue in the United States, leading to a lack of public support and appreciation for the patriotic service of many members of the armed forces. And whereas the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines who returned from Vietnam were never accorded the recognition and praise that was so routinely awarded to returning servicemen and women in earlier wars. And whereas it is crucial to remember and recognize the extraordinary contributions of American Vietnam War veterans and the sacrifices made by their families. And whereas the Vietnam War Veterans Recognition Act of 2017 officially designated March the 29th as National Vietnam Veterans Day annually. Now, therefore, I, Jose Cabero, the mayor of Shepherdsville, do hereby proclaim March 29th, 2025, to be National Vietnam War Veterans Day in our community and encourage all citizens to observe and honor this day. I got to tell you, I'm really excited about it. We had the Vietnam Wall here last summer, and it was an inspiring experience. And the fact that we're going to have an opportunity to recognize some of those folks that even showed up that day. We have quite a few people that are going to be in this parade. I'm honored to have a banner of my dad that I'll be walking in this parade. So I'm honored to be a part of it, but I just know that we have so many people we'd like to thank for serving at a time that our country didn't recognize their service. So I'm excited about it, and I hope everybody can join us that day. We hope to have it completely full and have those folks come through there and let them know that, first of all, we thank them, and to give them that official welcome home. So I'm excited about that. So thank you all for doing that, and just listening to the fact that we're going to make a big difference here in Shepherdsville and recognizing our Vietnam veterans. Pro Lodges. You guys want to come up here a minute Adam and Cody, I want to make sure that you all know, we asked them to come up here, we had them as an opportunity. Emily, come on up here with them as well. We're taking a different approach to when we have developments in our city. I'll let Prologis tell you about themselves and how long they've been in the city. I would think maybe Bonnie, you've kind of dealt with them a little bit, Mike, and maybe Faith, in our time on the council, that they've been around a long time. So they're gonna give a little history, and then what they're gonna do towards the end of their presentation, they're gonna tell you about what their new project is actually in the city a little bit, and then they're gonna be doing some things in the community to educate our community on what they're trying to do in their new developments, okay? Did you get it squared away from them? If you guys will, Adam, if you'll click the top of the button there, just right on top, up, a little closer to you. There you go. If you guys will introduce yourself, everybody knows Emily, but we'll give them a few minutes to make a presentation on that and then what they're looking to do as they move forward with their next project here in the city.
Yeah, thank you. We'll, hopefully this fires up.
All right.
Good evening. Thank you for having us tonight. My name is Adam Bray. I am the investment officer for Prologis covering Louisville and Indianapolis, and this is my partner Cody.
Yeah, Cody Riles. I work with Adam, office in Indianapolis. If Adam handles expanding the portfolio through acquisitions and new developments, I handle the day-to-day operations of the existing portfolios. We've got the 9 million square feet that we have in Louisville.
So we're going to just do a presentation. We'll start kind of globally of who Prologis is, and then we'll dive in and let you know our presence here within the city, and then Louisville overall. So Prologis was founded in 1983. We're headquartered in San Francisco, and we employ about 2,700 employees globally. We are in 20 countries across 4 continents. This is a quick fact sheet. This information is also available on our website under the Investor Relations tab if you want to learn more about it. These come out every quarter, so this is the latest one that came out 12/31 of this past year. We have about 800 million square feet of industrial product, and that could be broad. We have manufacturing, we have flex, we have light industrial, we have lab, we have data centers. That's the total square footage of the impact in North America. As we work across, we have 248 million in Europe, 115 in Asia, and then split between Canada and South America, we have another 128 million. So we're 1.3 billion square feet globally. We're the largest real estate owner in the world in terms of industrial, and I believe across all asset classes as well. This slide gives you an idea of who our largest customers are within our portfolio. We do publish our top 20. On the slide, you'll see the top 10. 2.7 trillion in economic value of goods goes through all of the facilities globally. I think in North America, Cody, is it 3% of the GDP of goods come through our facilities? So I would venture to guess something that you have ordered online at some point, maybe even here in Shepherdsville, has gone through a facility that we own. And then on this bottom left-hand side, it's the percentage of our net rentable on segmented out by customer base. So transportation, consumer products, food and beverage.
Adam, I know we've talked, this gives you an idea of the size of them, but I want to specifically talk about Shepherdsville. I know you're getting ready to get to that, so.
Yeah, absolutely, no problem.
That's the good stuff.
Yeah. So about us here locally, we've actually owned property here in Shepherdsville for over 20 years. You know, as I like to say, Prologis is the biggest company you've never heard of. And just owning industrial product, I know at times could be a little kind of under the radar, but we have been here for a very long time. We own 8.6 million square feet in Louisville total, and that is 6.5 million square feet, correct me if I'm wrong, here in Shepherdsville. We recently expanded our presence here. In January of this year, we closed on the UPS building that Browning built, that you can see right off of 65. Again, committing our commitment to the city as well. So we own 11 buildings. The next slide, you'll see them all. And then within those companies that we have leased to employ a little over 2,000 people here in the city of Shepherdsville. You know, mainly Amazon, UPS, a lot of those customers that you saw in the top 10 are here. Cody handles our existing leasing and management of the portfolio, so he can also speak to what other customers are here locally.
Yeah, so 8.6 million square feet total. About 6 million of that is in Shepherdsville or the Bullitt County area. We've got 11 buildings down in the Cedar Grove Business Park, and then we have 3 more that are just north of us at Blue Lick Road. Customers that occupy buildings or tenants, we call them customers. It's going to be Amazon, UPS, FedEx, Dow Chemical, Amerisource Virgin, Keen Shoes. You kind of name a brand that somebody who you might do online shopping with, or a retailer that you work with, they're probably a customer in one of our buildings. Amazon by far the biggest customer of ours. Great relationship with that company. Would love to do more business with them. UPS is also on the list of top 10, who you guys know very well.
I wanted to make sure you, again, just for the highlights of this, is 20 years, 11 buildings, and over 6 million in Shepherdsville.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted the council to know is, first of all, as you mentioned, you are a company that, as big as you are, you're not well known from a local standpoint. We thought that was important because as you continue to grow with us, they want, when we say Prologis, they can say Adam and Cody. They'll know who you are. And I think it's a great way to start moving forward with the new projects that you guys are looking at doing, specifically one we're going to talk a bit about, but as you move forward the next 5 or 10 years. And I wanted them to know who you were and what you've done so far.
Yeah.
We're talking about 2,000 jobs, we're talking about the property taxes that you paid here. I remember I think we even discussed there's some millions of dollars of money, taxes that have actually been raised in our community.
Yeah, well, within Bullitt County in general, last year was 4.7 million, and again, with the majority of that here in Shepherdsville.
It's important to note also that unlike other developers who come in, they'll buy land, build a building, and then sell the building, these are buildings that we're going to build, we're going to lease those, and we're going to own these for long term. Some of these buildings we've acquired, some of these buildings we've had for pretty close since the park was built, whether that was through a series of acquisitions or a development that we built ourselves. So we're long-term owners. We like to take care of the buildings, give you guys something that your company or your town can be proud of, because we're proud of the buildings as well.
The most recent development that we have done, and I will get to this Prologis Velocity, which is the UPS building that we just acquired, was this, we call it Cedar Grove 6. Again, as Cody had mentioned, the majority of these as well we have held for a long time, acquired or developed. And again, with the latest one being this Prologis Velocity, which is the UPS building. I think Cody said it best. Prologis is known for developing, holding for a long time. With that customer base, it is advantageous for us to do that because many of those top 10 customers come in to us directly and say, I need something in Kentucky, Louisville, what do you have? And I think it's really good to say that, well, we have a park that has 6.5 million feet, and so far, you know, it's been a great place to own property. So,
Are all the buildings full? Do they all have leases on them?
We have 2 vacant spaces right now.
Oh.
Historically, we've been 100% leased. We had Vista Packaging recently moved to a smaller space, so it's a vacant space today. And then MHS, Material Handling Systems, now Fortno, their business slowed down with the recent environment in the last couple years. So they've consolidated into a single building as well.
Okay.
We're getting close on one of them, so hopefully.
So this is in the backdrop. We met with the mayor a few weeks ago to discuss a potential upcoming project that we want to kind of just give you a first look at high level. There's no real plans to show at the moment, but just to give you an idea of what our plans are moving forward. And when I say plans, sorry, there's no site plan or anything to share. I have an outline of the properties. So behind our Cedar Grove 6, we are currently under contract for these 2 parcels. If annexed, we would come back to council for planning and zoning. And with that, before we get to that point, Our plan is to set up a community meeting, again, same forum as this, where we can show plans, let everybody know who Prologis is, answer any questions that the community would have, and go from there before we continue to move forward.
I want to add to this. First of all, one of the things that we don't do and have not done, we've never built a relationship with the people in the warehouse area, industrial park. We've never built that relationship. And since this came up, it was a great way to really build this relationship and start working on it. We have these buildings get built in the industrial park, and that is it. Outside of making some presentations, that is it. No more. We don't want that. We've discussed some things with Browning. We're discussing some things with you, and we want to continue to keep working on these relationships, that it's more than just building a building there and filling it. As I mentioned to you, that way you do that is, first of all, coming to this council and telling them who you are. The second piece is, as you continue to do things, that there's always, when you are getting ready to do something, as you mentioned, the piece that's right adjacent to that, that you want to expand your project, it's important for them to know that they're not only going to come to you, but they're going to go to the community. You remember the Alpha Ministries and the kind of the concept of getting out there and talking to neighbors? This is what we've suggested to them. To be transparent, when they met with us, we said, listen, go know my council first, spend some time understanding what you want to do, go talk to the neighbors that you're going to be dealing with, because that's an important piece, so they understand that you're listening to them. If they've got a concern about aesthetics, or if you're really how close you are, there's two pieces that you're going to be discussing April 14th. That's when they're going to come back and make their first presentation to you. We'll get some information to you as they get it to us. So that meeting will be the presentation of what they want to build. It does include annexation. We need to make sure that they understand that piece, and that it's right adjacent to the industrial park. So it's not out of complex, out of the complex, but it does have a neighborhood that's fairly close that needs to be discussed. So these gentlemen are going to do two things. They're going to show you their building. They're going to show you how they develop, and where the area that we're talking about is right off the park loop. Go ahead and you can show them
But
the
this
area.
would be contiguous, right, not adjacent?
I'm sorry.
This, right, yeah.
It's contiguous.
It's
so-
contiguous.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's contiguous.
I'm
Let
sorry.
Let me back up.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry.
this is.
You're right,
property
Jennifer.
that we,
Okay, yeah,
currently own.
Touching.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
We're
touching.
touching, not touching.
yes.
Yeah. So-
But I want to I want to add,
I know that's-
well, I want to make sure that you also know that in the first, there's two properties in this, that they're going to be the president, but I want to make sure, they have already property there that is part of this development. And so what they're doing is, in order to do what they want to do, there is an annexation piece that goes with that. And I always remind my council, when we talk about at the annexation piece, is to understand when we do it, why we do it, and is it valued to do it right. That's why you're here tonight,
Yeah.
is to try to explain to them and answer any questions, so that there's a transparency about this. And it's transparency not with these folks alone, but those neighborhoods.
Yeah,
But you all
absolutely.
own the property, like, the property is already owned by Prologis, right?
So-
Or are you all buying the property?
Yeah, so currently the properties, we're under contract for, so in the process of buying.
Okay,
But I think it's worth mentioning, and again, without getting into great detail, but just for
Yeah.
context, everything that's outlined right here currently is property we own as part of this Cedar Grove 6 parcels. So the way that the topography is here, that was the usable area for Cedar Grove 6. With the parcels that we have under contract, we would be taking this portion from Cedar Grove 6, which is land we already own, to develop the building to the size that
That's
we
legal.
find kind of appropriate for this business park. As well as the parcel that we have under contract, we would also be utilizing property that we own extending to the north there. However, it will stop about right here, so this hard corner is not going to be touched. That allows us to, again, when we come back with layouts, you'll see, move this building further up to create a buffer between the park and those residents behind it.
nice.
So I just thought this was a good way to get you guys, instead of, remember, we've done a couple times where we bring people in, we want to show you that there's projects coming. This is a great way to introduce yourselves. And they get to see you knowing that you're the Prologis representatives of what you want to do, because I know this isn't the end of our relationship.
No.
There's going to be so much more. So this is a great way to get you out in front of the folks, as far as not only the council, but the residents, so they see. And when we do things to partner with our neighbors, we see those things work out really well.
Yeah, and I skipped over a pretty important bullet. So because we own and operate our properties, we have a dedicated maintenance tech that is actually a Prologis employee based here in Louisville. Cody, you can speak. Tom's been,
So Tom Shannon's been with us for going on almost 15 years now. Long time, grew up in Kentucky, lives here. He's in front of the customers in the buildings and in front of these buildings multiple times a day. He spends probably at least 7 or 8 hours a day in this park, driving around, talking to our customers, listening to their concerns, working with our vendors, and he's really our eyes on the ground. Adam and I can't necessarily be down here every day, but we do have a person here who's very good, and some of you may have met him. He's probably the most social person that I know that's with us that's in that role. He's absolutely fantastic. He's a great asset for the company.
and my point in saying that is, other companies are long-term owners, however, they will hire a third-party brokerage to manage the buildings, but that's all done in-house. So you'll see a Prologis truck driving around. You may notice it now after this presentation, but he's skirting around and trying to provide the best, service for the customers in those buildings. They all know him by name, and he, would be happy to come in here too and meet you guys, just being local. So
Yeah, and they would like you to see their buildings. I mean, like to see one of them. They're obviously,
The plan for the neighborhood meetings
Yeah.
would be, I think the second week of April, just the week before, we do the, your all's next April meeting.
Mhm.
So I think they plan on having it at one of the sites there, so you all can see the building, and then we're gonna, give notice to all the, adjoining property owners that will get notice of the annexation or the zoning, so that they have a chance to come and see the proposed plan and discuss it with them. And this kind of just elongates the process, because I know it can seem kind of quick sometimes when you do the annexation and the zoning, and like you really aren't hearing anything until you get to those public hearings. So this is their opportunity to kind of take the initiative, like the mayor said, and get to know the community and their concerns and be a good neighbor, because they are long-term to this community. So they just want to get those feedbacks and opinions from the neighbors before we submit anything formally to you all and to the county. So we'll give you all that information when that neighborhood meeting's coming, as soon as we get that location and date finalized. And if you guys can't meet on that date, we can meet with you guys separately. And then we'll also, I know in Louisville it's typical, we provide kind of like a summary of the meeting so that you all are aware of like the concerns that were addressed, who showed up to the meeting, and you all, if you can't make it, can, know what happened.
what do you think about this concept doing this? We're gonna do more of this to try to make sure as people come in and develop, not, different things we have, instead of just the first meeting, let this be kind of an intro to all of our businesses that come here. I think it helps them, because the council, like I said before, I've emphasized to them, they've done a really good job. They've done the due diligence of the last couple of years. We've done a much better job of expecting more from our partners. So it's reasonable expectations. These are not outlandish, and we're not asking too much more than we just wanna make sure aesthetically everything looks like it's supposed to be when it gets developed. What does it do for our traffic, and obviously, where's that water go? And that's what, they've done a great job with it. So I wanted you to meet them on this side, but again, meeting them a couple more times makes it more personal about asking questions about things that you guys might have. I know you're gonna have questions, but this starts off a better relationship, and what you do, and you've been here 20 years. I'm glad we're having you now, but I think it's important that we really build this in a way that, because like I said, I tend to believe that Prologis is gonna be around for a long time.
yeah, we couldn't
And
agree
we're glad
more.
to have you guys,
Yeah, so I accidentally outlined what we currently own. I've been in the site so long, that's what it would that's what it would be after, everything got, kind of replatted. But again, this portion of the property we currently own, so it would kind of encompass that. I think it's one thing, that I'll note here, and again, we'll come back and we'll have, renderings, line of sight views and everything, but if you wanna drive around and take a look, this building currently will sit 10 feet above what this building will sit. So when we, if we were to actually go through the process and get approved, the idea would this be a boulevard entrance, and you'd actually have to go downhill to the building. So if you were on this, I drove it earlier today, you may not see this building back there, and then these residents are raised up back here, so there's that tree line. But again, we'll come back and we'll show all of that to you. I just want to leave you with this building. If this were to ever get built, will sit higher than this. It's actually pretty far down.
If I'm not mistaken, the residential area to the southeast is kind of like on a cliff, right?
Right here.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like way up.
Yeah, this we can't go too much further here, we actually would have to build a retaining wall, it starts to get into that, I'm gonna call it a hill, but yeah, you're correct.
And then that was, when Jennifer and I did the, presentation, we were talking about maybe hooking those two roads together right there to make it more of a loop for traffic.
Right.
But I tell you one thing, on the other side of Ohm, so the west side of Ohm, down towards Preston, tried to get out of Shepherdsville one time, and I sat there for like 20 minutes and just had to turn around. It's really just like a red light or something down there, but traffic is big for me, so it's, what you know.
He's talking about the traffic going towards 61.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about KYTC and doing some stuff to regulate the traffic on 61 because of the whole expansion and what's happening on the north side. The Ohm is actually gonna utilize what it was supposed to be designed for 5 years ago. And all that's now working into fruition when it was supposed to happen earlier. But the whole design of how close you are to 480, why would you go towards Ohm if you're gonna go northbound, right? Why would you do that? And so there is a lot of that will be fixed with the way the traffic comes in there. And all that connection piece in that loop really comes all the way around on the backside is gonna take it and connect and then take it right onto this interstate. We see a lot of potential with that continue to grow because that's what it's designed for. That area is made for that. The expansion piece that you guys are looking for through annexation is it gets a little closer, but that is about as east as we're gonna go. And so we've got, the creative part is looking at south of Ohm and some other things, and I know people are looking at different venues to keep that the industrial park area. I know you guys always look at opportunities, but for us, I think this is a good way, and I hope the council at least sees that this is the first meeting, April 4th, or April 14th, is actually gonna be the meeting that you'll make your presentations and have everything in place. But gives them some time, and what we'd like to encourage you to do, and what we'd like to do with the council, is if you could, maybe a few days beforehand, maybe if it's a week earlier, that'd be great, send something to me. We send it to them, it gives them a chance to look it over, then when you come in, they can have some questions, they can jot things down. And then we have the first reading. That way, we're really preparing them so that when we have that second reading in the 28th, they'll be able to make a well-informed decision about annexation. And that's what our goal is.
Absolutely.
So listen, they're almost finished with this piece. It's just a condensed version today. But do you guys have any questions you'd like to ask, or you want to wait till the 14th and?
Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was anything today. It's not of a lot of detail, but at least you got the area that they're looking at. You know what they've done in the past. They're going to have a community meeting, which you guys are all invited to.
Can that
Right.
be emailed to us?
Yeah, I'm happy to pass around.
Absolutely.
It's,
Yeah.
6 slides, so you can take a look at it.
Good stuff. And I think once they see one of your buildings, I mean, if you've ever been back to once to look at a Prologis building, you guys, I've seen your developments here over the years, and so I see the truck. I've seen that truck. Yep. Well, thank you, Council. Listen, Adam and Cody, thank you all for coming. I know we're gonna see you 3 weeks go by real quick, and we'll see you guys back. But thank you for being here to make this presentation. Emily, if you will, when you get everything squared away with the community meeting, that'd be great. And, Council, thank you for spending a little time. But thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here, and we'll see
Yeah.
you soon.
Thank you for being
Emily,
here.
thank you as well.
Yeah.
All right?
Appreciate your time.
All right. Yeah, we'll turn off there. All right.
Excuse me, do you gentlemen have cards?
I do.
I didn't bring the
I can
comprehensive
pass
plan.
them, I think I brought
It's
them for
on,
everybody.
it's intelligent.
Okay, so,
Do you want to potentially pass the rest of these down?
yeah, we'll give one to everybody.
Brenda, is it attached to the agenda packet or is it somewhere
No,
else?
go into the, meeting.
Make sure, I don't know, Council, this was actually on the agenda, and I want to make sure, have you guys reviewed the comprehensive plan?
And it's,
For the county?
it's in,
Thank you all very much.
it's in your diligence.
We'll see you soon.
deal.
Thank you, guys. Very nice to meet you, Cody.
Oh,
Where the
I did it
books,
online.
okay,
I
where
went
the,
to the, county website.
Did
Yeah,
you,
if you
which
go-
is fine.
Oh, we had it in
where the
here.
books are,
Uh-huh.
you'll see, once you go in there to internal, you'll see comprehensive plan. All the
Okay.
paperwork's in there.
Council, I'm not gonna get into the weeds here for you guys, but if you look at it, one of the things, we have to approve it as a city council. We have to approve, the comprehensive plan, and how do we do
Yeah, I
that?
mean, I've been
By
looking at
ordinance,
it,
It's by ordinance, okay.
Yep.
Okay,
We'll do
so,
an ordinance where we adopt the,
the county.
goals and objectives.
so what I'd like to do with the goals and objectives, if you guys will, I wanna, first of all, if there's any questions, I wanna go over just what I think the 30,000-foot view of this is. But I wanna make sure, can we, is it unreasonable to ask for an ordinance to be sponsored for, the 14th of April?
for this.
Yeah, Catherine will send something
I'll
out.
sponsor it.
Okay, that'd be great. And what I would like you to do is be able to go back and read the goals and the objectives, because that's what they're trying to do. And if you look at it, what they took is every municipality in Bullock County and try to see where it's gonna be 5 and 10 years. And the most significant piece is LJ.
Okay.
You don't see that, if you look at the maps, you'll see that there's not much difference in Hillview. There's a little bit, you'll see, and we know where ours is. Ours is going to be, my concern is basically from 65 on 480 to 61. I think that's still undetermined where that's gonna be. I really truly be, if you look at what it's actually being projected to be, what I think it can be, I think it's, I'd like to be able to discuss that. But overall, Mount Washington is in a situation like us. There's not much more room to grow. There's migration for us going east on 44 from a housing perspective. And I think that was put in there. If you look at what they have already put down for 40, so you want to look at 44 east, going to Bells Mill and further, looking at what that development is, because that's going to be part of our plan for the next 5, 10, 20 years for the city of Shepherdsville. Northbound, we're locked in on the Hillview side, right? When you get to Preston and 65, pretty much anything north of that and east is not us. So what I'd like you guys to do is just encourage you, if you don't have questions today, we want to make sure that we're actually being prepared to do an ordinance on the 14th. And Jennifer, I appreciate you sponsoring that. But I think it's important for you guys to know that we need to get that knocked out again. Obviously, next couple of meetings to knock that out, just to approve it and send it on to Charlie and them to know that we've made our ordinance to accept that comprehensive plan. And again, I'll say this, council, and you know this, we've changed, when planning and zoning has done some things in rating, we've changed some of them. So it doesn't mean that we're not obligated to it, but I think in a general sense, it's probably a good plan. Some thoughts have been put into it. They used a third party to do this. I think it works. So I don't know what you guys think about that so far. Have you guys looked at it? Do you got any comments or anything that you were concerned about, anything you saw? Especially for the city of Shepherdsville, this is what we're really concerned about.
Does it include like roads and things too?
What's that?
Does it include like roads and things too?
So no, it's just the areas that they actually really wanted to be. So that map,
I've mostly
Rob's-
been looking at maps.
yeah, so what Rob was asking was, does it actually include roads? Well, you start developing things that actually get more connected, that answer is yes. But for them to really know what gets developed at a level that's actually going to include roads, I can't say that. But that's a good question. But I think it is more about the way the development goes.
The goals and objectives, number 2 is transportation.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's what the transportation piece is not only just, we talked about public transportation too. So I'm telling you, even though.
And there's a lot about 44 on there.
Yeah,
On
and
there.
it has that piece in already in KIPTA. The problem for us is we still need more funding for, we need another bypass. There's no doubt about it. If we're ever gonna continue to grow and mediate some of the, traffic, we need that 44 across 480 to 44 on the east side. That's gotta be a serious conversation. It's gonna be millions of dollars, if we're really gonna be able to handle any kind of traffic. And we're discussing intensely with some folks about the interchange at 119. That would take a lot of the traffic north instead of coming towards 44 and Adam Shepherd, which we know we'd like to be able to take some of that traffic off there. So we're working on it. I think we're developing the city, but I think the infrastructure piece has got to be a very serious thing for us. And we're always going to look at the way the water goes. Everything gets developed now, and we're going to continue looking. And we've looked, even we've had some small examples that things that have been done and not developed in a correct way, we are holding them accountable for it. So I want to make sure people know that even though some things we didn't build, we're still going to come back and hold them accountable to it. So I just want to make sure, because it's on our presentations, but I don't know that I want to go into any, bless you, I don't know if we want to go to anything more than just making sure that we're ready to do an ordinance. I'm not sure what format you guys want to follow on this. Any thoughts? We're good just to spend some time doing some reading, late night, midnight reading, all right? With a Diet Coke? I'm just asking. All right, just making sure. Just making sure. With a Diet Coke and reading at midnight. All right, but let's do that. So let's gear for the ordinance on the 14th. And let's make sure we spend some time with it, and I'll be glad to answer any questions. I just want to make sure it's more of, what do you see that you're concerned with? I think they put some thought in it. I don't know if they really moved the needle immensely here, but I think they are being thoughtful about what they think things are going to grow. And LJ is really the biggest piece in that, if you look at it. If you spend some time with it, you'll see that there's a lot of growth down there. And we still have a lot of growth, but most of ours is going to be, moving forward, is going to be annexation. South on 61 and 44 East. And we're pretty far as 44 West. Catherine, would you like to add anything to that? think of anything? No. All right. You came to some of the meetings, haven't you?
I did go to the meetings,
Okay.
yes.
All
They
right.
were very, very educational.
Right.
I will say that, I mean, he's right. It's really hard to, make a lot of changes in a city that's probably 95% developed. I mean, unless you're going to tear down existing and say, we're gonna start over, we've gotta work with what's already occurred. And I think that's why you're gonna see probably, hopefully, a little bit better planning with LJ. It's not as grown, so hopefully, moving forward, it'll be a little bit more strategic, long-term strategy. And as for the 44, listen, everybody wants it widened, but what people don't realize is not only is it millions of dollars, if you drive down part of 44 and you look at really widening it, you are not talking about the state coming in and taking people's land. And nobody seems to like that idea. So, I mean, literally, they would be using eminent domain on, I don't even know how many properties, because if you drove down, especially around like the Lazy River area, you would be in their front yards. You would have to take down their houses. You would have, the state would have to buy them out. And that's just a lot of money, and it's never popular. I mean, who wants to have their house? I guess the government gives them money, but it's never a nice thing. I mean, it was a big issue out on, if you all remember, many years ago, Westport Road, that exit out of Watterson and Westport Road. It was a huge, huge deal, and that only affected a handful of houses, not even as many as this would. So just something that, you see a lot of talk about widening 44.
It's the litigation
But that's the
process, which is
reality
there.
of it, is that
It would take too long.
it's not just money, it's also taking away people's homes, and it's a lot of people. So that's something that the state absolutely considers, and I just wish people, when they say that, I'm like, drive down, if that was your home.
But
you give it
on
up?
61, you had the same situation. So 61's edge of sidewalk to edge of sidewalk was the same width. There was just a ditch. And so when they did with 61, they put the drainage under the sidewalk, curb and gutter, that gave them room to widen. So that's kind of like where I look at, like, why can't we do something like that? I know we have to move utilities a lot,
Well, the
but
plan,
the width is about 80
Yeah.
foot, it's about the same.
so the plan is, I guess they've given up on the 44 concept a long time ago, and the litigation is a lot in the sense of the property owners all down through there, because you got a long way to go. You got basically 10 miles. So what they did is they basically given up on that concept, and they're actually, our 8-year plan, 6 to 8 year plan is, it's a turning lane all the way down through till you get to Shepherdsville. Now, when we see that, I'll see it when I see it, right? I'll see it when I see it. But I do think that's obviously an issue for it. But like I said, I think most of it, we have to figure out the best ways we know how to actually keep the flowing of traffic and still grow our community to have things here instead of us going, because people say, well, we can go here to E-Town or Louisville. Why? That should not be the answer.
Right.
We live here. We can have it here. We have the finances to do the things we're doing and encourage more private investment in our community, and we're seeing that. So I think it's pretty exciting. I do think they made a serious attempt on this on a comprehensive plan. It's been a lot of hours. I've tried to go as many meetings. I was on the steering committee itself, and I felt like they were really trying to make a plan. But when you look at it, it does have a lot of limitations. Really, it's a lot of the same things that they had out there, expanding in some areas. But let's take a look at it. Again, if we're pretty comfortable with what they put out there, let's get an ordinance out there. Let's get our first reading on the 14th, and let's move forward with that. And again, I'll try to answer any questions the next few weeks, and we'll get it rolling. Is that okay? We good? Thank you all so much. And Courtney, would you listen? Courtney wasn't on the actual agenda. Thank you for holding up that wall. No, would you come up here and give us a little bit of good news? We had some good news, and I said, Courtney, listen, you're not on the agenda, but I want you to take 2 minutes out and just tell us a couple things, and then give us the good news.
I'm gonna show you this. So this is an example of one of the posters that'll be going on both sides of the vehicles. So we have over 75 Vietnam veterans informations logged, and there's 20 folks that are maybes. And so we have over 50 folks that have RSVP guaranteed coming, weather permitting, hopefully everything goes wonderful. And so they'll be gifted these at the end of the parade. It's such a special deal. We've had so many amazing conversations with great folks. We have Patriot Guard, AMVETS, JROTC, we have a lot of groups coming to show their respect. But the fact that we have Jeeps still to the, like, as I was sitting there, somebody else volunteered, hey, do you still need a vehicle? I'm gonna put my Jeep in. And then this is the real deal, getting these folks. So I wanna say thank you to the service of the families that are a part of the city council, because that is very special. And, this is, I think it's gonna hit home to a lot of folks that we're doing something, there's no dollars exchanged, there's not a financial, no one is gaining one thing from this, other than it's a community event, and we're doing something really, really unique, and I'm super proud.
Yeah, I wanna make sure people know that our Vietnam veterans, they're like in their eighties now. My dad would have been 86 this year, so you see that they're like the World War II veterans, they're no longer with us. So we'll do this parade for as many years as we can, but after that, we'll have actually kind of our own memorial here at our town square. We'll have something every year.
Know these guys, so now we can have an event once a year, we can do something, have a breakfast, and we can just go through and reach out to everybody's families and say, hey, come, we're gonna do something, and so it's just a very uniting event that we've done, and it's very special, I'm super excited. And to see these guys that I've known my whole life, to see their little 20-year-old faces, it's emotional.
Yeah, who I think is Fritz. I can't wait to see Fritz and all this.
When I went, so we did
Yeah.
74 of these posters, and the librarian pointed out two, he said, there's two men that stick out that are just, and it was your husband and Fritz.
Oh, that's cool.
And those
That's
two
cool.
photos, he said, these guys just seem to me like, somebody.
That's cool.
And I
That's
said,
cool.
well, lucky for you, Fritz, you can still have a chance to get to know him. And I explained, I was like, well, Mr. Enlow was larger than life. That picture doesn't
Yeah,
describe
that's cool.
what he did for this community. So it's just awesome.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. So that is one good thing, that's a feel-good thing. The other thing, I know that there's been a lot of talk, it's like, I always hear that we are getting pledges and, there's a contract signed, but there's no dollars in the bank. So I just wanted to verify, one of our contracts that was signed a while back is turning into dollars in the bank. Our first $20,000 installation from the U of L contract is hitting May 1st. And then it'll be $20,000 for the next 4 years following, for a total of $100,000. So that is set in stone. We have it from the U of L executive group. So the first $20,000 installation does hit in the May 1st. I'm assuming that's when it'll be executed. So sometimes,
That's the contract we signed. Yep.
and then it'll be
Yep.
May every year through that, so that's $100,000, that's on the way, $20,000 will be within the next month and a half, so that's
So,
super exciting.
yeah, and Dory did mention that they want to do more with us because we had actually talked to them about, hey, what would you like to do more? And they do, and it may not be centered just around the playground, but they want to be involved. And we have some other people that are sponsoring, and we have a lot of cool things, but the building is coming up more, and when that building gets a little closer to really being visualized, that's what's going to be there, I think that could create the excitement for us and getting people to really want to put some money on the table, so.
Right, well, this $20,000 installation, I just think it's important, it represents that contracts really do come true when you're dealing with, these businesses, they do contracts, they make pledges all of the time, and so this is an exciting time to be a part of this project, and it's good news, all the way around.
All right, thank you, Ms. Courtney.
Good, I've been working outside, I'm gonna go to sleep.
All right, go sleep, go sleep, go sleep. All right, thank you, Ms. Courtney. All right.
Thank you.
All right, well, we have one last thing here that we want to make sure we finish up here is the skate park. And so, I believe I gave you all this letter. Did I send this to you guys? The email? Yeah, the email. And what I want to make sure, and I do agree with Rob, we actually did award Flynn Brothers, they were the less expensive. But one of the things when talking to Rob, I'm not going to read this to you, but he was actually talking about Flynn Brothers, actually identified some of the things that were not part of their calculation. And so he believes that not only were they they were the lowest at 426,406. You had Yoakum Cistern and Septic, which was 437, which was 11,000, a little less than 11,000. But they added actually some services that they did not include in their cost. So I was pretty excited about the fact that we actually got a bid that was less, but also some other services that was included.
So those was it the amount of concrete that would be needed for those?
Yeah, they've actually, I can't, let's see, he added them out. We went over this on the phone, and then I told him to make sure, yeah, if you look at, they calculated their bid on higher quantities than the other three builders, and was still the lowest. So what they did was on the materials, they added actually more to it. If you look actually at I'm not looking at it, but if you go back to look at what I sent you, you'll see that it's on there. And what I thought was really nice about it, they've been around a long time. And does everybody understand that Flynn Brothers is a employee-owned company? Okay,
Yeah.
just want to make sure, because Flynn Brothers, I always try to make sure that there's a distinction between the Jesse Flynn Group, which is the real estate group, and then you have the developers actually, or the construction folks that are the Flynn Brothers. Jay Rice obviously just recently passed, gosh bless his soul, but that was a company that they were doing good things and moved on from that. But that company does a lot of work, maybe not as much right now, but this is a great award to them, and they've been a partner for a long time. So I wanted you all to know that we did select the Flynn Brothers to do this project for us. I'm pretty excited about that. I will tell you also, because some of the things we're doing in the park, we actually, we moved one of the Gaga ball courts that was supposed to be by the baseball fields. We're actually going to try to, I met with Donnie McCubbins, he's the Eagle Scout candidate. We're actually gonna put that Gaga ball court with the skate park. For some of the kids that can't actually get into the skate park, mom might have somebody little that just might wanna play in that. So just kind of adding a little service to the skate park thing. And skate park right now is tentatively mid-June. And I know Sam and Tom are working on it. The disc golf will be done before Labor Day. So another thing in the park on the First Street side, so we can have some activities there while they're still working on the other side. All right? All right, any questions about that bid? I just want to make sure we're doing okay. All right, with that said, just a little bit longer than that. But, all right. No old business, no new business. Planning and.
Question.
You do?
Yes.
Oh, what's your question?
So, no, I guess it's sort of no business. So, last meeting, EJ Landon with Foot of Grace came in, wanted to see about having the property annexed into the city so that houses could be developed. Is anyone interested in sponsoring an ordinance? Where are we at on that, on his request to be annexed?
What's that? Nobody wants to sponsor housing?
It's not that I'm against housing, I got concerns over the location. It seems like we're reaching really far south. And I know we have that one subdivision down there that, I didn't know that we even had that subdivision until I got on the council.
No, I didn't know until I was mayor.
Right. It just seems really far.
So far meaning from where it is now. So we
So-
have property right there at 245 and 61.
Right.
We have the warehouse property.
Right.
And then we have 100 homes there. I'm just curious,
Yeah, I
what
know.
would be what's the
But-
concern with that?
Well,
You
at
guys?
a
There's-
certain point, you gotta say, how far south are we gonna go?
Well, I really don't know that question, to be honest with you, but where is our opportunity for housing?
Jody, how close is your closest fire station to this property?
Station 2, which is on where I am.
Mhm.
I can get you the mileage.
It's 6.2 miles.
We also have mutual aid in the southeast.
Right. And that becomes a question, do you wanna rely, is it responsible for us to rely on other departments to take care of stuff that's in the city?
We're using the closest unit response right now.
And I knew that was gonna be your answer, but at a certain point, right, it becomes,
You can sit next to him, Chief. You can sit next to him.
and believe me, I wasn't out to put you on the spot, but at a certain point, it's our responsibility, right?
I want to hear.
Yeah, so Southeast Bullet Station 2 is closer than we are. Lebanon Junction's fire station is closer to that property than we are. It's 5.2. They're a mile closer than we are. It's pretty far down. And without any concrete plans about how we're gonna expand our public safety, I'm just saying, I'm a little concerned. I'm all for
How about the rest of you
housing.
guys?
Believe me, I'm all for housing.
I got you. I'm just curious. I mean, like I said, for me, we're looking at, housing is the #1 priority for us. Okay? And we have areas that are challenging in our city. You know, our opportunities are gonna be south and east. Let's just be honest with, yeah, Bonnie?
I have a lot of concerns with it. Number one, as an insurance agent, for me to write that property, they could get denied because they're over 5 miles.
Okay, which is a fair
Okay.
comment.
I'm not sure if it would affect our ISO ratings or not, being that far out.
And I can check with that, Bonnie. I need to talk to EJ, maybe there some property will be available for a fire.
Well, that was gonna be my next question,
Right.
like.
And it is kind of
if
in
we
our-
can- If we can work into something.
Yeah, come up here for a minute.
Like,
Get grilled, would you?
you know. And I would be amenable to that. I mean, if there is an avenue for us to procure a piece of that property for a fire station, that's a conversation worth having. But again,
Does that make everybody, Bonnie, that's
We
obviously.
can't,
It's a possibility, but again, we're talking about possibility of not giving the fire department raises this year so they can keep their 12 people. So can we afford to build another firehouse, to have another truck, to pay for more firefighters to be able to be at that station?
Well, you got 12 now.
I know, but we're talking about increase the cost, and that subdivision by itself will not pay us enough money to build another house and pay more people to do it. There's concern about that. We can provide them sewer without annexing them.
We're not, no, we're not. We, in the city, we're not gonna start we're not just starting providing sewer for folks outside of the city.
Well, if they pay for it, what difference does it make? Because then they
It
have to
makes a
pay
difference
more.
between the city, what's
We
that?
didn't annex, the distillery.
Okay, that, I have nothing to do with that.
I know, but I'm just saying
But that's the
it's-
only example in our city that we had that situation, and
Right.
that's not the way that we're moving forward with the city. We need to make sure that we keep it within the city. Again, if this council does not want to have it, either way is fine. I'm just, very good points by both of you.
I'm
Yeah.
looking at cost. And then
That's fine.
again, then we've gotta send police station, police people
Right.
out further to cover further away from the city, in the city where we need them. If we have something major go on there, then we got nothing covering here. We
So-
don't have backup for that.
You know we're growing both departments by two people every year, right? We're doing that. The physical part about a building, that's gonna take a little bit of work. That's fair. I mean, but I just want you all, if you tell me that, that's fine. Because I need you all to know that I'm putting housing in every different facet we can. It's gonna be out in front that we look at housing, because that's gonna be our opportunity, because we are going to grow. I can tell you that it's coming. Because I can tell you all the conversations, 6 different developers have actually come into our city and talked to us about growing. They see us with the kind of things that we're building in the city. They're excited about seeing that the community, the city of Shepherdsville, is investing the kind of money we are. They're willing to spend their money with us because they don't have a lot of cities that are doing anything like us. So that's the attractiveness part of it, right? So for you guys, this is not about if we disagree. You guys have made the right points. The point is, Chief and I have talked about it. We think there's a station somewhere in the near future. We don't think it's tomorrow. Now does that test us being a little further down? Yeah, it's 500 yards. That is a little far down there. Which is, if we say no to it, we say no to it. That's not my question. My question is it really enough that we can do the right things in the next couple of years to have it ready to look at what plans are? If they would work with us on a piece of that land, I think that's a great idea.
well, and one of the other concerns I have is, remember, my history goes back a long way. This is the exact thing that caused animosity with these fire departments years and years ago.
It is.
We annexed their property, took the tax money, but then, according to them, we still relied on them to help protect it. I feel like that this is kind of going down that same road if we keep kind of patchworking down 61 the way we are. Again, I am not against housing. I would love to, you know,
Yeah, I just want you all to know that if you,
I'm the biggest proponent of trying to find housing.
I agree.
I just don't know if this is the right time and the right place.
well, there are other opportunities coming that'll be maybe more suitable to what we're talking about and how we actually service them. There's gonna be some opportunities coming up that we're gonna present to you guys next few weeks, right? We've got other people talking to us. So if we don't do this, that's fine. I can understand it. But what I want to make sure with you guys, if we're not gonna do it, that's fine. The thing is, for me, is we have to decide that South is still part of the possibility of growing. You gotta look at where you're gonna go.
Absolutely. And I think it is the future.
If you're gonna look
of
at the way the
growth.
population's gonna grow
Right.
here, it's
Yeah.
going to do that.
Yeah,
And it's gonna take
absolutely.
61 South. But how do we get that piece in there, Chief? You know, of having a substation there, just maybe one truck, one bay kind of thing, and, you know, office space? Maybe that's how it starts, with the idea of expanding it somewhere down the road?
I mean, Chief, have you had the conversations with your fellow chiefs about this kind of thing?
We were talking about going to Southeast and saying, hey, what would it take to partner in their firehouse, put an engine company in their
Yeah,
firehouse?
even that, I mean,
Yes.
that would be a short-term
Exactly.
solution.
So that, see, that would be
Just
good.
permission from the council to have those conversations.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
control.
absolutely, you know, and
What do you think about that?
And I know
I mean,
we had
Council?
those, you know, we kind
That's
of
not
bantered
bad.
that conversation around with Mount Washington years ago with Station 3. And if we could work something out on the 245 corridor, then that's a more, you know, that's a bridge to
Yeah.
a,
Hey,
to a
Bonnie,
solution.
how does that work on the insurance piece? If we were able to work something with that firehouse to have our own truck there, does that put us in the radius that fits that insurance policy? Does that help?
It would help, yes.
Okay. Okay, so again, this is how we do this. This is really kind of a cool piece. So if we look at that, why don't you come back? We'll spend some time here, maybe the next meeting. We'll come back, and Chief, would you come back with information on the 14th? And give you guys, and then anything he has before that, send it to you guys, right? I wanna hear from the rest of you guys. What else we wanna put in this? Because if we have something we wanna do, you just helped us move along with something that maybe we couldn't do if we stayed the way it was gonna go. But now we're putting some things in place. Now this is becoming more of a problem solving.
Well, we get beat over the head all the time about doing stuff without thinking down the road. And that's why I wanna have this conversation. If we're not pre-planning and thinking about these things now, you know, I don't wanna get, you know, way down the road and getting, oh man, if we thought about this 5 years ago, putting a fire station here, we've been a lot better off. Well, no, let's do it now. I
Yeah,
mean,
we have seriously looked at something down there, and even, it was a little premature when I first came in office, there was a conversation about that. But as this goes we're migrating down 61, I think you're gonna see more possibility of that. I think you see there's a couple spots down too that there actually could be developed for more houses. I mean, really on both sides of the road over there. And so, because people are looking at that, there are a lot of discussions, and so if that's an opportunity, let's take a look at it. Let's start with that. Jennifer, do you wanna, or anybody else here?
If
Mike?
there, you know, I agree with Brad and Bonnie to the point that we have developers coming in that wanna develop. We've had, developers come in and get approval, get rezoning and such, and then it's not happening.
What do you mean not happening? They're not building?
The houses aren't being built.
Okay.
Okay, and I use an example of, you know, Chris Wilson up here, still pretty well flat. They're on Lakeview. We had
That's a
permission to
good
do
point.
that.
Lakeview.
There's not, you know what I'm saying? We give them the okay to start this and to do it, and then it don't follow through. And just like
But
Brad
Chris is
said,
actually, isn't Chris, seems like he's moving over there. I mean, he's moving on his property. I think somebody else mentioned to me about the Lakeview, though. That's kind of stopped, right?
Yes, yeah.
That was approved before I came into office, but
That was a big blow up in college.
remember it was about,
And everything,
Yep.
and they did nothing.
there's gonna be a trucking company maybe out there, be less traffic, remember? And they were trying to convince you not to have the residential. I remember some of that.
right. But I don't think we wanna be in a position, I sure don't, of saying, okay, go ahead and build, and then we don't provide the services. As Bonnie said, we're already at a point probably where our fire, particularly, police is, not to downgrade you, chief, but it's easier to get you know, to cover that with, police. But our fire department needs to have that response
No.
time down.
No, there's a solution on the table, which I
Right.
think is good, which is good for us. I mean, we've got a solution that we can check on. If we can partner with Southeast, that'd be great. That may be
But
something.
we'll pull one of our trucks away from the other firehouses when we do
Right.
that.
Yes, ma'am.
So that changes what it's gonna do to the other.
I'll put some numbers together and I'll meet with him first, obviously. And
Yeah, let's do some stuff like that.
Can I ask something? When we annexed this property where the paintball place is, did we ever notify the fire department? Mount Washington Fire Department, did
No,
we ever notify them?
we sent letters back and forth with Stuart. We talked to Stuart and his team. He took care of communicating with everybody else. I sent everything to the mayor.
Okay, cause that was another one of their, complaints when I was on the committee to solve those lawsuits. When I came on council, that's one of the main things that I did was work to solve those. And that was one of their main complaints, was us annexing and not even telling them beforehand what we were doing. They would have liked to have known that we were considering annexing the property and then letting them know afterwards whether we did or we didn't. And I think it's respectful to those fire departments to let them know, cause they're losing tax money when we take that.
Oh, there's no doubt about any of this stuff, but again, we wanna be good partners in the community, we really do wanna be with the rest of the county, but we have an obligation to continue to grow our community, and when we do that, it's gonna continue to grow because of the proximity to Louisville, proximity to E-Town, the convenience of the interstate itself. It makes it lucrative to wanna be somewhere where you can get on the interstate and get wherever you wanna get. And so it's not only attractive for the business world, it's attractive for the residents. They want to be in places they can get around fast. So for us, we're not intentionally moving into areas that we can't do, but annexation is an important part of your growth. I know that's been something that's really been a bad taste in Folks Mound because of what's happened over the years. We're trying to do this in a way that's very respectful. We're trying to get, because even like the presentation from Prologis, that's right there, but we still want them to come in and see you guys, and it does include an annexation, right? 44 East, I'll go ahead and tell you, it's important to see that some of our growth and our residential growth is gonna go 44 East. Now, I don't know how far it goes, it's gonna go down there, a mile or two, might, if you continue to look at it. And then again, is that gonna be okay with our fire department? I think it's still fine on the 5 mile piece from this station, but we can, you know, we can see. But the thing of it is, we're going to continue to look at how we grow. But you guys bring up good questions. Let's stay with that. If things that come up like this, when I wasn't meaning so much as not liking the housing, and I probably could have rephrased it. I was concerned about not giving me the reasons, and then you gave me a reason. That makes a difference. When both of you guys came up with good reasons, that makes it.
We support housing.
What's that?
We support the housing.
Yeah, I do. Well, but no,
Yeah,
but these two
absolutely.
things actually, and then with the idea of at least look at it, this may not still work out, right? He goes there and we don't have a partnership, or how does it affect our service to the rest of the community? You know, we're changing the dynamics when we move a truck there. So we gotta make sure all that works. So he may come back and tell you, no, can't do it. But at least that's the try. But a lot of times when we say no to something up here, just try to figure good reasons to say no. It helps me out because some of the experience you've had for a long time, some of the things that you guys have seen, you've seen some really bad planning, right? You've just seen stuff that's like, oh, what are they doing? And so I don't wanna be a part of that. I see it. I see the warehouses on Conestoga. I see the warehouse by the flea market. You know, I see that stuff. And who built the whole Starbucks and all that area over there? You know, and Burger King and Panda Express and all that's over there. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I mean, I wanted to be known that we are not going to do things without proper planning. And I have more of a 30,000-foot view. You guys bring up some nuts and bolts that'll help us get there. And I think it's great that you did that. So. Mike, a good point as well.
You know, like I said, I think we're all for the development of the housing,
I agree. It's just.
but I wanna do it right,
Yeah, well, absolutely.
particularly our side of it,
Absolutely.
you know, so.
Yeah, I do think people will, you know, like I said, I think most people in the public will be more for the housing piece. But again, looking at the way we do it, we bring it, but we know we need it. You hear it all the time, looking for housing. And I get, you know, a couple phone calls a week, just, hey, we're looking for some housing, what do you got? Well, we're working on it. And I know people want to see an opportunity to move here because we've gotten a lot of good press of our community and what we're doing. So that's a lot to be appreciative of. But Chief, do that for us. Get us some
Chief,
nuts and
hang
bolts.
on a second. Bonnie,
Yeah.
what's the mile limit?
5, you said 5?
5 miles? Okay.
Yeah.
And so I guess is Helen Heights in that 5 miles? Okay. Do
Well,
what?
South of.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that would say if it's only
is-
500 yards.
Is Helen Heights within 5 miles of one of our fire stations?
No,
No, it's not.
So then my question is, how are those people getting insurance? Because people live there.
they're getting insurance because they probably told that they were in Southeast.
We're also using the closest unit because we can
Okay.
use Southeast for
Okay.
a specialized company,
Okay.
like a ladder company, an engine company.
Okay. And
Do you know how ISO looks at that now? I know they tweak the rules since I was in there, but they don't count that fully as like a dedicated engine company though, do they?
Yes, we just got credit, we're all giving each other credit now on closest unit response. So if we're out on a run, they're grabbing the next closest companies, and guaranteeing 5 companies to a structure fire is also a bonus in that.
Well, I know you get credit for it, but
Right.
as far as the rating goes though, I mean, because we're staffed 24 hours a day. Southeast,
Is staffed 24 hours a day.
okay,
Yes, sir.
fully paid.
Yes, sir. Well, yes, they're staffed 24 hours a day, 5 days a week.
5 days.
Yes, yes, and those are the other things we can work on together.
Right.
We
and
can come
that's-
up with a plan.
So how did the other development go? This happened before I came in office, but what happened, how did they do that with the Helen Heights piece?
It may be closer.
Mike,
it's
you were on the
not,
council.
no, it's
Mike,
not
you were on
within
the
5
council.
miles.
You and Bonnie were on the council. That happened, but that only happened
Helen
about.
Heights was recent.
Yeah, Helen Heights was just in the last 4 years.
I don't think when we annexed and rezoned, Helen Heights, there was any discussion of this.
There was,
That
that I can
mean,
remember.
As far as I can remember, there was, you know, I know city put sewers to that point. but I don't recall any discussion about whether,
Cause it
It
wasn't
had
in the
fire
city,
protection.
right? It had to be, didn't it? So it had to be in the city. I mean, it wasn't in the city originally.
It's,
No, it wasn't. They
It was-
annexed it in.
no, it was annexed,
Okay, so you annexed it in back then?
right.
So
Okay.
it wasn't annexed with UPS?
no.
No,
Okay.
no, it was done, the UPS been there for a while. So my question is, again, the situation that we're talking about now happened already. So we just, again, we're gonna be careful moving
Right.
forward. But you guys, you two are definitely on that time. I'm just curious to see what the process was and what happened. We're going to figure things out, and I think this is a great conversation. So at least it gets us thinking about how we move forward. And like I said, the other piece I know, the annexation in the industrial park and the annexation on a 44 expansion, those are right there. So there's not quite that same conversation about the fire service.
Right.
I think those would be better for us. But I think at least this one here needs some real serious thought to it, which is fine.
Brad, I'll get your ISO questions for you
Yeah.
answered also.
And
So I think it, wasn't it a mile and a half for an engine company, 2.5 for a truck company, and that, yeah. And then the station had to be within 5 miles, right?
I'll get all
That was, the mile and a half and the 2.5 was kind of like the sweet spot, that's where
Right.
we wanted to be.
Cause you know, the city in the past has done things that weren't quite kosher, okay? Not intentionally, but due
No, I
to
get it.
lack of
I don't think
information or so at the
Lack
time.
of information or not being told the right information.
Don't throw us
There you
under the
go.
bus cause you weren't here.
right information or not told.
Go ahead, Mike.
Honestly, you know, I would have fought that, so that I don't remember it, so I don't know.
No, it's all good. I don't mean anything, but I do think.
I'm curious as to why.
Yeah, I think for at this point, we're gonna move forward the right thing on this. So listen, this is a great conversation.
Don't beat yourself up.
Jody, get us some information for the council. If you wanna put something in an email form, that'd be kinda cool, send it to all of us. Be curious to see what you find out over the next week or so.
And I'm not sure that they're paying taxes on this. They are a 501c3 religious organization, and they may be exempt currently. So, you know, there was an issue of, are we taking money away from Southeast Fire or whatever? If they're not paying taxes, then maybe
They
they
don't
wouldn't.
pay property taxes.
They may not be. I mean,
I don't know what- I don't-
I just know that it's owned by a 501c3 religious organization. They do have property tax exemptions. I'd
Are they
have to
selling
look
the
into whether they really meet, huh?
Are they selling the property?
Yeah, Phil agrees.
Yeah, they wanna sell,
That's who they're
well,
selling
They
to.
wanna
they
rezone
wanna
themselves.
annex it in, that,
Then they go to planning and zoning.
and then they go to planning and zoning.
then
The
they come
buyer wants to buy all this, but only on the condition that it gets annexed, right? Cause he can't build 67 homes if this doesn't get annexed with sewers, right? So it's conditional, but yes, they eventually wanna sell it to build homes if it doesn't get annexed. I don't know if that guy wants to build homes, because now he's building less homes, cause you have to have bigger lots for the septic, so I don't
So
know.
he hasn't been to planning and zoning yet.
No,
No,
because.
the process now is for anybody that wants to be into the city or wants to do something, they gotta get annexed in first. And then there's always contingents. It has to be annexed in, has to meet their planning before they'll actually buy the property, right? So they'll get these two things approved by the governments, the local governments, and once they get that piece, then they'll actually buy the property. They'll have a contract out there, but it's contingent upon those two things.
So I'm just saying, if the tax thing was an issue, we could maybe ask Charlie, look into that a little bit more and see, but it's a little bit different situation, so it
And
might
part,
not be.
and so a lot of, okay, so does everybody understand the tax piece on this? For everybody here, real quick, for all of you? The tax piece is the county gets the property taxes. So this piece of property, that doesn't hurt the county, it's not in LJ. This property is actually just a piece of property in the county. He gets the property taxes from it, we don't. We get a small, very small little piece, okay? What we get is
But the
occupation.
fire department gets 10%.
Of that property,
The district fire department gets 10%, right?
10 cents on a
That's why they don't like to get, for us to take the tax.
I mean, I get that piece from them, but again, part of this is, again, we're not in a situation to argue that if it's, again, we're not here to be punitive in our expansion and our growth because we have the revenue to do that. But we have to be cognizant of, we still have a lot of things we're trying to get done. I mean, the millions of dollars we need for sidewalks and drainages in the next 5-10 years is gonna be enormous, and who's gonna pay that? So we've gotta continue to look at our revenue base. Our revenue base is good, but it's gonna have to continue to keep growing if we're gonna continue to keep looking at the things we wanna do. We're 20 years behind in our development. We've talked about this before. We've done a lot of things in these first couple of years, but the next 5, 10, 20 years is really gonna be challenging because we're gonna continue to grow. Where's that traffic and water gonna go? That's our biggest, I mean, that is our biggest concern. And so, looking at funding, and then that's really what it is. And so you guys have got to understand that there's always the parallel of how do we continue our revenue base? Well, it is gonna be largely set by the industrial park. It is designed for what it was due, they built it, they did it for our revenue base. It's where 80% of our money comes from. So it's obviously, even when you look at the warehouses, so the piece on the residential is, we have to decide if it's really feasible to do that. If we're not feasible able to service it, it's not gonna be that. But if we can creatively find a way to make it work, then let's do that, let's do what we can. All right, Chief?
Yes, sir.
Hey, appreciate it.
I do have
No,
a couple,
yeah.
couple comments. One, it's not contiguous. There's like a few plots in between, which is always controversial.
500
when we
yards.
do that. We may be able to get by with that, but then it was presented as affordable, and they're not really affordable based on our median income of Shepherdville.
Their houses today, I don't know you can build a house less than 300,000.
Construction costs may be wide.
And one of the other things, I want you to understand, they're not building houses for the people that just live here. The people that are coming here are affording these houses. So you gotta understand, the dynamic keeps changing. Our demographics have changed a lot. If you don't know, in the last 5 years, we have 1/3 of the population that lives here now, it's not from here. And it continues every year. So in about another 3 or 4 years, it's gonna be half the people that live here are not from here. Because they're looking for places to be, especially from the Louisville migration piece, right? When we look at the big city, what happens when people move, those are the people that they're targeting. Because where they're at, they're gonna be right there at 245 to get on 65. That's why it's attractive. If you wanna look at why somebody wants to build in that 61 corridor, it's because you're right there, you're 2 minutes away from it. So there's a convenience part of it. And truth about the income level, that is true. But we have a certain segment of people that do, and we have other people that want to move up. But you have, between the dynamics of all these groups, you're gonna have about half of that group is gonna be not here now.
But
That's what they're banking on.
But we're not building for the jobs that we're bringing in, is what it boils down to.
Some of that is and some of
When
it's
you're
not.
talking 300 to 400,000, people making $25 an hour, that's not their, that's
No,
not
but
what
Blue
they
Oval
can
is,
afford.
but Blue Oval is.
Yeah.
So they're,
So think of it
But
like
Blue
that.
Oval's not here.
Okay, again,
We're talking
that's what
about the
the,
jobs we're bringing in, the people, the companies that we bring in do not pay for the houses that we're wanting to build.
no, so remember, the people that are living here are not always gonna be the ones that are buying these houses. The people that might be living here may work somewhere else, between Blue Oval and their jobs are
But
already
we
in.
need to bring in housing for the people who work here.
Oh, that's a part of the blend. Look at the 634
also-
multi-dwelling.
We're also talking about, our comprehensive plan, and we're building houses in industrial and commercial for future use. I mean,
Again,
we're already talking about, it's already gonna be built in an area that's not future use, residential. It's
so we
future
already have
use industrial,
residential, we have already
commercial.
residential there, is what I'm getting at. So why, in each of these little segments though, Jennifer, if you look at that section, that's suitable for right now for the housing piece. If on that side of the road, south of that 245, it's already designed for that.
Well,
It's,
but like I said, this is what happened with the last comprehensive plan. It screwed the city up by just piecing stuff everywhere, and now we're just getting ready to do it again.
next to another housing area?
You gotta go down the road here,
It's 500
Yeah.
yards.
so.
1,500
I'm just saying-
feet.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
we're already going against what the county and the community has designed. It's just crazy to me.
No, it's close enough to that housing market that you're not gonna be too far off of any kind of comprehensive plan. The biggest thing for us is, whether we decide to do it or not, it's gotta be sensible to us, if we can do it. If we can service it, I think we ought to entertain that. So Chief, this is no pressure.
Got it. Yes, sir.
No, really, we wanna make sure we get the best information. If it doesn't work, starting to say, we're not gonna do it. But if at least we can do it, I think we ought to entertain it, because we are knowing that right now, the housing is the biggest piece for
And
us.
it's not just fire, I mean, Steve, your people gotta service that
Yeah.
property too. I mean, that's,
Sure, but again, we look at the dynamics of those two things, but
obviously, that's gonna be, you gotta make calls out there too.
It's a little bit further, we're already making pretty close to it,
Right.
but like we're talking and, we're going up there talking, it's a little bit easier for us to respond because they're already out, they'll be a little bit quicker response, but that's just based on how we send people, so
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I mean, I think the biggest part for us in all of this is that you give us some information, and if the facts will tell it, if it's something we can do. You know, if we can't, again, we can't. We'll just continue to keep looking at that because, you know, like I said, we're all about housing. And I'm always entertaining anything we can do for housing because I know we're really short. Inventories are short everywhere. It's not just here in Shepherdsville. We know that. Thank you, Rob. All right, anything else? All right, Chief, we're done with you, man.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you don't even have to come back up. This is your, unless you want to say something right now. You got anything else in there?
Smoke detector detail was canceled this Saturday because we had a fire. It will be on for this Saturday, same time, until right around the start of the parade. That's where we're gonna go out early.
Yeah, I saw that you're gonna do that. We're gonna try to, I don't know,
It's
I'm gonna
okay.
try to make it for an hour like we were doing
I
this
just
last
wanna make
Saturday.
sure we get those residents needed
Yep.
just before all the Derby events and everything else. And just to give the council a good update, Friday night, around 8 o'clock, we were requested by Hardin County to go down by the 103. We had an individual who was about 100 foot off the ground, had a serious accident, and we used a hoisting device off an aerial ladder to.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It was on Facebook, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and you know, the reason why they call us is because we're the only ones in the area specialized to do that. We're the only ones between here and E-Town, east and west, to do any of that. So just to give the council update, really proud of my guys. They did a really good job.
Yep.
Right.
That's all good stuff.
Thank
Chief,
you.
thank you so much, and I'll try to see you Saturday, all right?
One of the news channels had it on Facebook.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. All right, planning and zoning, obviously Jamie's gonna come back and see us. I didn't get anything from, Dwayne Price.
Planning and zoning,
They sent you
they sent the email April 10th. There's 6 cases for planning and zoning, and they're all for the city. But they're all, so I'm gonna go ahead and tell you all, they're all for 44 Automart, which is, I don't know if you all know, but my
If you
husband
know,
works there.
Willie.
Everybody knows.
So,
Yeah, we do.
I don't see a conflict. I don't vote on any of this stuff, but I wanted to let you all know that. And the reason being is he's actually going to build, Rusty's going to build a new building. And so he's got to get in compliance before he can do that. So, and to be honest, it's on 6 lots and they're all zoned different stuff. Some of them are actually zoned residential still. I don't know why.
That whole area behind there is eventually gonna be all commercial. It is, it's all that behind Carpenter. Hester and Carpenter, all that.
Do I?
It's gonna eventually.
Yeah, he was grandfathered in, so, but anyway, that's why it's coming now, and then if it gets all rezoned the same, which that's what he's wanting to do, he's wanting to rezone it to be one to come into compliance with exactly what he's doing, then he's gonna put it into one parcel, so that way it's not so chaotic, but that's,
We're gonna spend about $4.5 million, it's gonna be a very nice dealership, like a new franchise type dealership.
It's cool.
It'll
It's
look
cool.
great.
Yeah, well, we're
So-
excited.
Price of cars,
um,
so there goes the price of cars.
Oh, yeah, well, they keep going up no matter what we stay in, so.
but I just wanted to let you know, that's on the next, hearing, and I kinda did wanna make you all aware
Yeah,
of
April
it.
10th, yeah.
Um,
5:30.
But I had a little bit of a tangential involvement, but there's no
5:30.
conflict, I don't vote.
Yeah, I made a couple of these. I think if you guys can make it, I know I've seen Jennifer at one of them, and I think Rob was at one of them. If you guys can make those, it really does help us a little bit in understanding some of the things that go on. These Board of Adjustments do make a difference. I know we had a critical one in Cherry Street that I think was important. But overall, I think you guys can make them, please do that.
You say this is Board of Adjustments?
Board of Adjustments is 5:30, and then planning and zoning is at 7.
That was planning and zoning, the one I was talking about.
But there's also some Board of Adjustments that are actions.
Yeah, we got some for this.
What date was it?
April 10th.
April 10th.
April 10th, 5:30 and 7. Adjustments first, and then you got the planning and zoning.
Yeah,
I
Mike
put on my
usually
calendar.
goes to all of them.
What's that?
Mike usually goes to all of them,
Yeah.
especially planning and zoning.
She said something nice about you, Mike. It's okay. Yeah, she did.
You don't retract.
I will not.
All right, well, listen, thank you. Chief, come on up here. It's hard to follow Jody, man. You got a ladder, you can get people off 100 foot off a bridge?
I can't say anything because he's not here.
Okay, no. Come on up here.
Well, just, not a whole lot. Unfortunately, I missed the last meeting. I was in Bowling Green. I think Major Patchen came in and filled in for me. Some of the things we've done since the last meeting I've been here, we completed the aggressive trainer training for everybody in the department. I think that's the first time since probably 2014 that everybody's had it, so it's kind of a refresher course. And they still need to get with you all about, they wanna come in and talk to the admin side of the building and do some training with you all. So we talked about him, at the end of last week. We also completed the first time, I believe, that Southern Police Institute's ever had classes here. It was at the library. The first one got canceled because of all the snow and ice that first week in January, I think it was. The instructor was very complimentary of the city and also the police department, saying that we did some things he's only seen once before with another agency. So he was gonna pass that on and hopefully try to get us back in rotation when to come back. So that's one thing I was very proud. We have two of our officers there, and also, just help them set out and all that. So hopefully going forward in the future, we'll have more of that going on out here. Hopefully all of y'all can, have the opportunity to send a thing for the DARE graduations. Those are kind of neat to see how excited the kids get, and actually the parents fill in too. So if you get a chance to even make one of them, it's worth going. I know with everybody's work schedule and everything like that, sometimes it's difficult, but if you get a chance, try to go to it. The parade, obviously this weekend, me and the mayor was talking about the weather. Hopefully it'll keep being pushed back. I think it was gonna be, supposedly a washout on Saturday, and I think they've moved that more to Sunday. So hopefully we can get this parade in and have it done. And that's about all I have right now. If anybody has any questions, be glad to.
Yeah, I know you guys are doing some discussions and stuff, just obviously as you move forward, budgets are coming up, we've got some dates, we want to try to put some stuff together but the collective bargaining will be an instrumental piece in this.
And that's what, obviously the fire department, everybody's going through that too.
Sure,
But
sure.
our contract, we've been working on that, going back and forth, and with Josh Waters with the FOP, I think a lot of what we really wanted to see on language cleanup, everybody agreed on it. There was a couple things that everybody agreed what we need to do, we just couldn't figure a way to write it. But I think we've got all that done, so I think there's just a few things left we have, and obviously we'll be bringing that to y'all here probably in a month, I guess. So.
Yep. All right, Chief, well, thank you. Oh, you got any questions? I'm sorry. Any questions? Good?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chief. All right, so obviously, just so you know, we met with Tom last week. We're actually, we're investing, it's not a ton of money, but we are going to spend some professionalism, a professional group doing landscape work around the Wendy's area. We're gonna really work on that piece, and we still wanna try to put the aesthetic fence in there, but we don't know if we can put it by the sidewalk or if we have to put it down there by the Wendy's. We'd like to have it I'd like to have it more up towards the road, gives it kind of a more aesthetic view, but, we gotta make sure that KYTC says it's okay to do that. But we actually have some work being done around the pavilion and around the Gaga Ball court, that little island that sits there before you go towards the baseball fields, right there to the left. It's Gaga Ball, then it's that little island. It's a very unattractive piece now we're trying to fix up. But a lot of things like that we're gonna be doing on this side of the park. Sand volleyball is gonna be the piece, so we just talked about the disc golf. So we'll be working on things in this side of the park that are light compared to what's gonna be happening on the other side there on the Frankie Simon side. So we're working on that. I know Arthur and Scott are working on a number of things. We did have just a little snafu last week. We had the thing, I don't know if you guys are archaeologists, about the rock, that they thought it was arrowheads. It's not, but there are some other pieces in there that we've had to work through. So we had a long meeting last week, and we think everything is solved. It may cost us a little bit more money to do certain things that we weren't ready to do, but money's still available for that. So we're gonna keep you updated on some of the park plans. Really trying to get that moving along, because I think the biggest thing is, we wanna see, we've got targeted dates, we wanna see things happen. And so if you've got the small things that are being done, like the skate park will be done mid-June, the disc golf in the late fall, then you actually have, or early fall. If you get into next year, you're gonna have the playground area. In the spring, you'll have the playground area done, stormwater will be done, you'll have the filtration building, and then start working on the amphitheater. And then if you haven't been over to the aquatic center, I mean, it's moving really, really quick. They're really moving very quickly on it, and it's really nice to see. In the next 3 weeks, you'll see structure of the aquatic center itself. Then you'll also see the pickleball. They have all the stuff out there to do it. They've got all the materials out there. It's really pretty neat to go and see it. So, and they're supposed to be working on some drone pictures. We're gonna get some stuff that we can send to you guys, so you get really an update on some of the construction. I take pictures every time I go out there, every 30 minutes. I think until we quit stocking them. But I think it's really good to see that it's really moving along. And it's interesting, just so you all know about tariffs, they bought a lot of their material, they locked all that in before, so we didn't really get hurt real bad on any of our materials. So we're in pretty good shape on that, because again, there's contingencies in that we may not have to use. Obviously, it'll be a savings to us and put towards more of the things we want to do. Sidewalks, we've got some really cool projects on that. So we got those guys working well. Brenda, do you have anything you want to add to this?
I do.
Oh, my
We
gosh.
have had the admin department
yes.
that has had a lot of work that they had to really rise to the challenge, and Jessica and Holly absolutely blew it out of the water. Very impressed with those two. They really worked hard.
You want to give them an announcement? No, I'll just
No,
give
no,
you.
that's
No?
yours.
No? All right, so.
One of y'all make it.
All right. So officially today, we made it official that Holly Perkins is our Assistant Financial Director. She's doing, Holly Perkins is officially today our Assistant Financial Director.
Okay.
She'll report directly to Angie, but then all of them report to Miss Brenda. But she's been doing a great job. Our focus right now is our audit. We've struggled with some things, and even in some of our research, there's been some obstacles, but to tell you that we're moving forward, we feel like there's a couple more things to do, and we'd like to see that get finished in about 60 days. And then we can start our next one after the fiscal year ends. So it's kind of trying to get on. And Holly made it very clear to me. You know, she's been here 3 years. She's done 5 audits. We're on our 5th audit with her. That tells you how far we were behind on our audits.
Who?
Holly Perkins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she'd mentioned that she's actually been engaged in 5 audits. Wow. So you need to know that we've really caught up a whole lot. But this one's been just dragging a little long, and we've got some things we're going to knock out with it. We get that done, get our budget done, we're going to be set for the summertime. So a lot of good stuff. All right, council. Bonnie, what do you got? Usually I save you for last. What you got?
Nothing.
Is that what you do if I pick you first?
Yep.
Okay. Be ready for next meeting. Mike?
Don't really have anything this evening,
All right.
other than what we discussed, that, you know, I know we need to, progress and proceed with our housing and such.
Yep.
And, there's been a lot of things done in the past that, you know, weren't quite up to snuff, so.
Yes, sir.
Let's get our act together first, before we just compound it.
All right. All right, thank you, Mike. Rob, what you got? Yes, sir.
I was gonna ask about the artifacts, but you kinda mentioned that.
Oh.
Do you have like a timeline on when we can start back?
Oh, we are. We've gotten approval for that. The Core 5 actually came in and they're discussing as far as the stormwater line and what has to be done. And there's a little road that kind of goes, the road goes down through there, has to be raised. So that you can actually drive back there even if it's flooding, because if you need to get emergency vehicles back there and stuff. So that's the expensive piece. Yeah, raising that road up, there's a certain length that has to be, and it has to be 4 foot up, so. Yeah. So it's an expense that we knew somewhere in our progression of things, but it changes the dynamics. We just gotta take it, pay for it first, and then move down the line. Because obviously, one of the things that's really turned out well, we've done really well on our interest on the money that because we've only drawn money from our 30 million when we've needed it. So we've kept it in there, really getting the interest. Now, I think when we're all said and done, we're gonna be, when we paid the last penny on this, we will have made 10% of our money, $3 million. So kind of good stuff. So those are cool things that we've managed our money in a good way. So, all right, but thank you, Rob. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, Miss Jennifer with that Diet Coke.
Okay, so my one question I have is, how will all this going on in the park affect Bullet Blast? Like, what are, like, as far as, cause you know, people, like, we put parking in there and all that, so, I mean, is that all shut down for that?
Great question. We're all gonna park at Tom's house and we're gonna
Okay.
take a shuttle. No, he doesn't know it yet, but that's our plan. No, actually, for all of you, that's a great question, because there is gonna be that, because that side's gonna be occupied.
Right.
Jennifer, I think our best obvious is everything behind on the Frankie Simon side, behind the fiscal court and all that area. We're gonna look how we can designate some of that parking.
Okay.
It's gonna be the easiest way to get
So
across.
we're gonna be talking like all those businesses.
Yeah, and
owners
she'll actually put a map together, because
Yeah.
she's got a map now of the whiskey, wine, and ale that's coming up in April, right? So we're getting an idea. That one's not gonna be too bad. And that's a pretty good business, but it's not the whole time. But you're right, for 4 to 10 on that Saturday, July 5th, it's gonna be packed.
I know
Free
it.
rides again and all that stuff, so it's gonna be a very busy time. Should be a great time, but
It will.
great question. We're gonna do our best to find places. I would also mention people carpooling and anything else that you can do. I mean, it's not a bad idea. You know, I mean, even if you parked it, you know, just somewhere up the road, even City Hall.
So they're gonna park at Tom's and you're gonna shuttle them with your car back?
Yeah, it may take a long time for people to actually get to the, to the city fair Bullet Blast. What's that?
Use golf carts.
Yeah, well, and I will tell you, we'll have a couple of them, but they're actually gonna be for folks that really we think are challenging for drive. I mean, we're gonna try to keep an eye on folks a little bit older, anybody that's got some physical disabilities. We wanna make sure that we help them with that as well. So good question.
Another question.
No, it's okay. We'll come back to you if you need.
Okay, thanks.
All right, Miss Faith? Today, you don't, you could usually have a couple notes ready for us and everything, ready to go. No notes, okay. And last but not least. No, that's not, there's no trouble with that at all. But anyway, I appreciate it, Brad. All right, council, if we're all done here, did you, Jennifer, if you?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I know what it is.
She thought about it. She thought about it.
People on the West Blue Lick side of town, please, if I'm out, don't yell at me. I'm gonna be looking at roads this week and weekend, so.
Oh, yeah, so you
Taking
had your
pictures,
first
so-
meeting with Tom.
Yes, we had our first meeting with
Okay,
Tom. and
okay.
stuff,
You
so,
want your
yeah.
picture on Facebook as to who's this
Right,
lady taking
who's
pictures?
this lady taking pictures? Yeah, please do not roast me on All About Shepherdsville.
Just have a Diet Coke in your hand. Don't know who you are.
I'll have,
Just-
I'm gonna
just
wear
have a
my
Diet-
I love Diet Coke t-shirt.
There you go. Don't know who you are.
You
So-
sure, are you sure that,
Tell Jennifer, they're gonna,
Yes, thanks.
Jennifer, they're gonna know
to
who
wear the
you are.
Barbie t-shirt.
I think you should
The
wear,
Barbie.
Yeah.
What's it?
Yes.
I think Bullitt
I know
County
the
Jail has some garments for you.
Wow, you look good in orange? Right, anyway,
Hey, Jennifer, you and Rob are rubbing off on Mike because he's drinking Diet Coke.
uh-oh.
No, he's always drank Diet
Yeah, he's
Coke.
always drinking.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
No?
When I drink Cokes, yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, cause I was gonna say, cause, I always noticed that he had a Diet Coke too, especially if I didn't have one, cause I was always thinking maybe he could pass it down.
So much for the
Well-
public to
I know
know
that
about
was.
city council.
Uh,
No, it's all good.
I drink Diet Dr. Pepper, so it's a little bit more sophisticated, and also a motion to adjourn.
All right. I got a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Bonnie, or, Faith second.
Second.
Okay, who was first?
We'll give Rob.
Oh.
Rob is first.
He was talking and said I made a motion.
He just slipped it right in.
Mike, you're gonna have to get faster. Okay, Mike,
Yes.
Faith,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Bonnie.
Yes.
Okay, we're good to go.
All right. Well, listen, thank you all for coming.